My first exposure to pornography was around age 8.
I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and I stumbled upon some pictures of pornography.
So my first experience with pornography was at my cousin's house, and it was on this gaming device with internet connection, and I don't think his parents even knew that it had internet connection.
And a lot of times I'd hide them under my bed or in my dresser, that sort of thing, and I'd flip back to them. I felt naturally drawn to them.
A lot of the times my family would be gone and I'd be at home alone, and that would be like when I would view it.
Like while you're looking at it, I suppose it's like it's thrilling, like it's, you know, it's awesome while you're in it, but then afterwards it's just, I guess, this feeling of like disgust and shame and like, why did I just do that?
Feeling pretty sneaky about it, feeling, you know, got away with it.
Pornography is a drug which produces an addictive neurochemical trap. It is a pheromone. It changes the set point, the pleasure set point of the brain, and creates a new normal through the process of neuroplasticity, or change in the way our brain perceives and values pleasure.
So one transmitter is dopamine, and that's centered part of our pleasure and reward system of our part of our brain. And dopamine's released whenever there is a sexual experience and something that gives us a kind of a high in order for us to want to continue to seek out that same activity.
Have anything bad happen to me, that would be my quick fix. And, you know, give me that dopamine rush, make me happy again, or at least numb the pain.
It is as destructive, if not more so, than other even hard drugs.
I had periods of time where I just gritted my teeth and white-knuckled through it, but inevitably, I always fell back into it.
As we're engaging in those behaviors, oxytocin and vasopressin is released that bonds us to those activities. So we educate our clients about the neurological pathways, because this isn't just about their willpower or them being weak and not being strong enough. It's about the things that are going on in their brain.
So where they may have started off with some very basic pornographic images, it has a tendency to escalate, going to massage parlors, going to escorts, seeking prostitutes, looking to hook up with anonymous individuals online.
Progression from nudity to hardcore sexual acts, bestiality, sadomasochism, child porn. What the brain is really searching for is something new. Novelty, change. Pornography capitalizes on that.
It can extend to various things. Not everybody falls into all those categories, but each one of them falls into some category where it continues to escalate. Very rarely have I seen somebody who started with pornography and it just stayed basic pornography.
So for me, I started out with just pictures, and that was it, that did it for me. And then it got progressively worse. It got stories, videos, intense videos, long videos, and there didn't seem to be an end.
After the point where I was doing it a lot, it became where I wanted to try it out. Like I wanted to see how it felt on a person.
I went through the days, but I wasn't living. I looked at pornography every day in order to self-medicate.
I viewed pornography so much, and it was such a big problem, that it escalated, and I sexually abused my own sister.
I hated myself, hated God, hated everybody. Why me? Why as a child, for crying out loud? I still remember those images of what I saw as an 8-year-old child. I can't remember what I did last week, but these things, they just stuck with me.
But children aren't in a capacity to make informed long-term decisions about that. Again, we're learning much more about the brain. Children's brains are very uniquely unadapted to that.
Remember, their frontal lobes aren't formed, and they're going to be able to process that and understand all the nuances and implications of the behavior later. It's ridiculous.
And an attempt to provide it for adults has fallen into the hands of children and adolescents in a way that is seriously destructive to their own emotional and sexual development.
The darkest moment in my life was when I was put in the holding cell, and I was cuffed and I was shackled. I couldn't move. I didn't know what was going to happen to me, and I didn't know if I'd ever see my family again.
14-year-old boy goes on his phone text sexts different girls. His language was so obscene, so vulgar, calling them names that are inappropriate. Where did he get the ideation that this is all they are good for? It was pornography.
All these people that I was looking at, I was making them seem, like sexual objects rather than people.
And the feelings I was feeling, I didn't feel any remorse. I didn't feel any compassion. I didn't care about anybody else besides myself. And that made me just act out on my sister and just made me, I didn't care about her feelings. I just cared about my own.
So also the Bridge study showed of the top 250 porn titles, 90% of them depict violence against women, as defined by slapping, hitting, hair pulling, gagging, choking, and name calling.
The more violence and abuse that is depicted in pornography has a greater sell value on the internet. Pornographers know this and they push this.
Do the men that watch that just decide, hey, I can watch this, but it's all fantasy. It's not real. It is real. The women are actually experiencing what's on the screen.
I'm a victim of pornography. I would spend the night at a friend's house when I was between 7 and 9 years old, and her father would drug us and then molest us, take photos.
So you need to understand that this is someone's mother. This is someone's daughter. This is someone's sister. And you wouldn't want your mother or daughter or sister to be viewed in that way.
It's incredibly painful to think that those traumas, that pain, that those parts of me are out there. I don't know where they are. I don't know who looks at them. What if there are people I know in my life right now who are viewing child pornography and they're looking at me? It's gut-wrenching, it's nauseating.
We know, for instance, from the Halt meta-analysis, which did look at multiple studies and did conclude that, yes, men who view pornography are more accepting of the rape myth, that women enjoy rape and want it.
Today, violence against women is on the increase. Rape is on the increase. In the UK, the government has identified a substantial number of child-on-child victims who were harmed because of the pornography consumption of the perpetrator.
It's bullcrap it doesn't affect anyone else. Yes, it does. If it weren't for him starting on pornography when he was a young man, regular, just looking at naked women in a magazine, I would have never been through that.
I was only a kid when I viewed pornography. I was 9 or 10. I was little. How can those things be accessible to little ones of that age when guns are locked up until you're 21? You can't access those. You can't access anything else. But pornography, one of the most life-damaging things, is accessible so young.
I have had cases where the pornography addiction in a man progressed to the point where he violently raped his own daughter.
Most of the individuals that I work with, their desire and appetite for seeking somebody like a prostitute had its origins in their exposure to pornography.
And you have no way of knowing that that man or that woman on the screen is not traumatized by what they did so that you could watch it. There is no get over this. There's no get over this.
He was working with a pimp who had been imprisoned, and he said, if I see a girl who's alone, I go up to her and I say, hey, you've got beautiful eyes. He said, if she looks at me and says thank you, I let her go on because I know that she's not vulnerable. But if she looks down at her shoes and says, no, I don't have pretty eyes, he says, I know I've got her.
It's impossible to be searching out adult pornography on the internet without finding child pornography. And people will say, oh no, I never look at child pornography. And I say, oh really? You mean you've never seen a woman who's 17 and a half years of age? What about a 16-year-old, a 14-year-old?
I was speaking in Arizona a few years ago, and a prosecutor was there who prosecuted obscenity and sex crimes there in Arizona. And he called adult pornography the gateway drug for child porn.
The fact that as soon as seeing these adults have sexual relationships, as soon as seeing men rape women on screen isn't enough, the only thing left is kids. It's all that's left. And where are those kids coming from?
And they're arresting many married men, grandparents, many high school kids, because they don't distinguish between adult and child pornography after a time.
So they're trying to make actresses look either pubescent or even prepubescent to sculpt those brain tastes younger and younger.
That accounts for the worldwide boom in child pornography, I believe. This consumption of adult pornography on a steady basis, where the brain looks for and needs harder material. Every country should have laws prohibiting the distribution of adult and child pornography.